Hello and welcome back to the Sentient Sock Puppets. It is our first video of 2016, and what's this? It's a new camera angle, new shelf rearrangement, a new shirt. You know what they say, a new year, a new camera angle? I guess that actually doesn't make any sense. But anyway, I'm here to review my game of the year in 2015, Stella Glow. Stella Glow was released on November 17th in 2015. It was actually the same day as Battlefront. I only heard about this game a few days before it came out when I was looking through the Nintendo eShop and I found the demo for it. But the demo was so good it actually forced me to rush out and pre-order the game. And I'm really glad I did because it actually came in this nice cardboard box. Not only does it come with a box, but it also comes with a CD with some of the soundtrack, a keychain, and a poster. It really does help soften that $50 price tag, which is above average for a 3DS game. Now, from what I've been able to find out about it on the internet, this is actually the last game ever made by Japanese game developer Imageepoch. I've never played any other games, but if Stella Glow is any indication on the quality that they put into their games, I'm sure they have a wonderful library. So you can tell that I already really like this game, but that doesn't mean it's without its flaws. So let's break it down and see how Stella Glow fares in this review thing that I do. And first off, as always, let's talk about the story. Stella Glow's story is fantastic, but it can fall into a few cliche tropes. You start off as this young adult named Alto, who, guess what, lost his memory. Your quest starts when a witch who uses song magic shows up to your town and sings, and encases the town that you've been living in for the past 3 years in crystal. Now in this world, there are supernatural beings called witches who can sing, and no one else is able to because God banned it. Because God was upset with the people for not following God. You set out to stop this witch, but just like any other RPG, you soon find out that there's a lot more at play than just some crazy witch who wants to destroy the world. And just like the main character, a lot of the other characters seem to fall into these cliche anime tropes. You have the love interest who can't cook, you have the celebrity who's really nice on stage but rude to people off stage, and things along those lines. However, what really makes the story great in this game is that these characters develop far beyond any other game or anime that has these sort of cliches. And I feel like that's mostly due to the game being produced by Atlus. This game is very similar to the Persona series in the way that you have to form social links with characters in order to have them become stronger in battle. And therefore, just like a Persona game, the characters are written and develop beautifully. And the more that you develop with those characters, the more skills and abilities that they can learn in battle. The battle system is just a pretty straightforward strategy RPG. The characters that develop best, however, are the 4 witches that you can tune. Tuning involves entering a witch's heart, or spirit world as they call it in a game, and defeating their shadows or things along those lines, and that's where, you know, the persona really comes into play. If you tune the witches all the way, they will evolve and gain major advantages in battle, as well as getting a new outfit. However, the story can be sort of straightforward. You can see most of the plot twists and plot elements coming from a mile away. However, what really helps this otherwise average story is the characters that develop almost the entire time throughout this roughly 40-hour adventure. I'm going to give Stella Glow an 8 out of 10 for story. The story was a little bit predictable, but it had fantastic characters to help it move along. The gameplay is good at best. It's a pretty straightforward isometric strategy RPG, and I've never been too fond of games with an isometric view, but I was able to get used to it fairly quickly. There were, however, a few times that I wish I could rotate the camera angle so I could get a better look at what was going on, but unfortunately there's really no way to do that. What makes this game a little bit different from other SRPGs is the ability to conduct. Conducting is a power that the main character Alto has, and he can conduct a witch to sing, which can really change the tide of a battle. Things like healing all allies at the start of every turn, or adding additional damage onto attacks, and things like that. And this is really what makes Stella Glow a fairly easy strategy RPG. I've honestly never played all the way through another strategy RPG, mostly because I've never been too good at them, but I was able to play through this with absolutely no problem at all, with the exception of one or two levels where it forced you to use certain characters that I personally didn't use since the beginning of the game. It also doesn't help that the AI in this game is horrible. There were several times where I left myself wide open, and the enemy never took advantage of my slip-ups. And if you do ever find any challenge in the game, the final boss, you're allowed to level grind anytime you want. I think I'm going to give it only a 6 out of 10 for gameplay, mostly because it just could have used some better AI to help make the game just slightly more difficult. However, for somebody like me who is just getting into strategy RPGs, it was kind of helpful. And now let's get on to the visuals of Stella Glow. And the visuals are absolutely fantastic. Similar to games like Rune Factory, you can always see what the characters are doing, but whenever they're talking, you get these large anime-styled pictures that are highly detailed. The backgrounds are usually also still images that have a very similar amount of detail in them. I think Stella Glow really just deserves a 10 out of 10 in the category of visuals. Now, the soundtrack of this game is probably the best part of it. The game is heavily based around music, mostly because the witches have song magic, and therefore the soundtrack has to be very good. The songs that the witches sings are actually very fleshed out and sound really good. Apparently they use some of the biggest talents in Japan to record the songs for the witches. And I'm really glad that the pre-order bonus had a soundtrack with some of the witches' songs. And all the other music that isn't the witches singing is just as good. Without a doubt, Stella Glow definitely deserves a 10 out of 10 for the category of soundtrack. And the final category, the use of special features. And this is definitely the weakest category. The 3D is just so bland, it's really better just to not have it on at all. And honestly, if you leave the slider in the middle, it's kind of hard to read some of the text. So it's really all or nothing with this. The use of the touchscreen is okay. You can use it to look at enemies and allies' skills and health levels and things like that, but nothing too big. However, it doesn't really throw anything in your face, which is good as well. I think it deserves a 5 out of 10 in this category. Not a 1, not a 10, just right in the middle. So overall, it's a slightly challenging at best strategy RPG with a somewhat predictable story, but fantastic characters to help that story move along. It also has some of the best visuals and one of the best soundtracks on the 3DS. I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. All it really needed was some slightly smarter AI and maybe a little bit more of a complex story. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope that this encourages somebody who's thinking about getting Stella Glow to get it. It's still rather easy to find some of the pre-order bonuses. If you do a little bit of hunting at local GameStops, I'm sure you can still find one of them. And like always, if you don't want to see just reviews about video games, you can check out the Sentient Sock Puppets page, where you can see David review movies and me to review cartoons. You can always find us on Facebook and Twitter, links in the description. And while I have you all here, I've been thinking a lot about expanding what I do on the show. Things like top 10s, which I've already tried. I've also been thinking a lot about like streaming on Twitch and things of that nature. So if you have any ideas or just want to see some of the things I just talked about, let me know in the comments. I would really appreciate some feedback. With that, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.